I'm Dr. Justin Eisenman. First of all, I'd like to thank Mrs. Sevog for inviting me to talk to you today. You guys are lucky to have such great teachers at such a great school. I was lucky too that I attended some great schools, and they really made it possible for me to get to where I am today. To tell you a little bit about me, I'm an emergency physician and I specialize in austere medicine, which means I spend a lot of time learning how to take care of people outside of the hospital without a lot of the resources that you may find in a hospital. I work in the emergency department at Christiana Hospital in Delaware. The hospital I work at is a level 1 trauma center, which means we take care of the sickest of the sick patients. The emergency department is always busy, especially now with the COVID-19 pandemic. In addition to my job at the hospital, I work for the state of Delaware. I work for the Office of Emergency Medical Services. I serve as the medical director for the Delaware State Police, which includes the aviation unit. This means I get to fly in helicopters. I also serve as the medical director for the Newcastle County SWAT team. Before I tell you too much about my job, let me tell you what I had to do to get here. As I said, I started out at some really great schools. I went to high school at a small Catholic high school in New Jersey. From there, I went to St. Joe's here in Philadelphia. I also got a master's degree at Drexel University. After that, I went to medical school at Philadelphia College of Osteopathic Medicine. Medical school is 4 years long. It takes a lot of work and it's pretty expensive. I took a scholarship from the Army, which meant that the military paid for me to go to medical school for all 4 years. I had to do my residency in the Army and then pay back 4 years. Your residency is when you specialize in a particular area of medicine. I chose emergency medicine because I like to be at the front lines and I like the uncertainty of not knowing what's coming through the door next. I did my residency at Madigan Army Medical Center in Fort Lewis, Washington, which is just outside of Seattle. After my residency, I had to do 4 years with the military. During my 4 years, I had the opportunity to serve in one of the most elite special operations units in the world. My time in special operations took me to Afghanistan, where I got to work at the tip of the spear, serving our elite soldiers on the front lines. My job was to provide medical care to support the mission. I got interested in special operations medicine while I was working with them, and I was able to get a lot of experience in advanced training, which has helped me with the jobs I currently do with the police teams I work with. Unfortunately, I can't tell you guys too much about my time in Afghanistan. The missions we were doing were highly classified and top secret information. After I came back from Afghanistan, I finished my time in the Army, and I got my current job working in Delaware. After a few years, they knew my background in the military and with special operations medicine. I was offered a job for the state of Delaware. My job with all of these groups is to make sure that they know the best way to take care of people in any situation that they face. For example, with the SWAT team, I work with them during training and when they go out on missions to make sure that they know what to do if someone gets hurt, whether that's a member of the team, an innocent civilian, or even bad guys too. I'm also in charge of the medical care for all members of the SWAT team, including the operators and dogs. We have 2 dogs on the SWAT team, and we train a lot with the dogs to simulate injuries and to make sure everyone knows what to do with someone or one of the dogs were to get hurt. I have some quick videos and pictures to show you some of the things I do when I'm working with these teams. We have to be ready for any situation, and our training must reflect that. So, as a result, we train to remove patients from collapsed buildings or crushed cars. And we also train using the hoist on the helicopter. That allows us to lift patients up from areas where we can't normally reach them with the helicopter or by foot. We also train using the armored truck and the police dogs. I enjoy talking with you guys today. Unfortunately, we couldn't do it in person. I hope you guys have a lovely Catholic Schools Week.
Emily, I have to make a video explaining to your school my job and what I do. Do you remember what I do?
Is a lawyer.
A lawyer, that's right. What does a lawyer do?
I don't know.
Okay, that's a good place to start. Hi everyone, I'm Emily Morris's dad and I'm a lawyer. So what exactly is a lawyer and what do we do? Let me tell you about it. A lawyer is a professional who helps give advice to people about the law or a set of rules. To become one, you have to go to high school, then college, then law school, and take a bunch of really hard tests. You may hear lawyers referred to as attorneys or counselors. It's all the same thing. And what exactly do lawyers do? Well, if people have any problems regarding the law, they can contact a lawyer to help them. Sometimes a legal problem is called a case. So someone might ask a lawyer to start a case for them, or someone might go to a lawyer if a case has been started by someone else against them. And if a case goes to court, the lawyer acts as the person's representative and gets to go to court and make argument on their behalf. Lawyers also help people resolve problems outside of court. And of course, lawyers are always writing. They get to write a lot of legal documents. For example, if you wanted to buy or sell something like a house or a piece of property. And what exactly can you do? A law degree has an incredible amount of flexibility and you can do almost anything with it. It's pretty cool. You could work for a big company or a small company. You could work for a hospital or a bank. You could even become an author and write books. Or you could go into government or politics. Did you know that over half of U.S. presidents were lawyers? And President Biden and Vice President Harris are both lawyers.
That's great, Dad. But you're not the president. What do you do?
Good question. Like a lot of other lawyers, I work at a law firm, which is like a big group of lawyers who work together. My firm is in Philadelphia, and I do civil litigation, which means I represent companies and people and I help them solve problems. Sometimes I get to go to court and ask a judge to decide who's right and who's wrong.
I don't really get it.
Well, let me tell you about one of the cases I worked on. Maybe that will help. A few years ago, I was retained to represent a real estate developer named Emily, who was building a St. Catherine's School for Dolls. The School for Dolls was Emily's dream project. She wanted it to be a place where girls and boys really wanted to go to school every day. And it was, except for one thing. When the school building was done, it didn't have a fourth wall or a roof. I couldn't believe it. So Emily wanted me to represent her, go to the builder, and try to get the project finished. The builder was tough and smart. Her name was Lily, and she was known around town for being very shrewd. Emily and Lily had a contract, which is like an agreement or deal that you put on paper. A contract usually lays out what the rules are, so I checked that first. Here's the problem. I read the whole contract, and it didn't say anything about a fourth wall or a roof. It was incredible. So, on Emily's behalf, I went to the builder, Lily, and asked her to finish the job, but Lily said no. Emily filed a lawsuit, which means you go to court and ask a judge to tell you which side is right. I was her lawyer and would make all of Emily's arguments for her. We were assigned a judge for our case, Judge Waverly. Everyone around town said she was smart and a fair judge, but we had also heard she could be a big baby. Anyway, we got ready for trial, and I prepared to cross-examine Lily in court, which means ask a bunch of cool questions and try to get the other side to admit your side is right. I knew I needed a good argument. The contract for our case wasn't great, but then something occurred to me. The contract mentioned some other state construction laws, so I needed to check them. So I did, and sure enough, there it was, a Pennsylvania law that said no matter what a contract says, every school for dolls needed to have a roof and 4 walls. So Lily was breaking the law, and I would put her on the stand in court and prove it to the judge.
Dad, that's cool. Why did you really become a lawyer?
Good question, Em. I always liked reading and research. I liked getting creative and helping people solve problems. And I loved writing, and you get to do that a lot when you're a lawyer.
That's cool. How did your big case end?
Oh, right. Well, I cross-examined Lily, and it was pretty intense.
You want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
We won the case. The judge decided in our favor, and Emily got her roof for the school.
Hi everyone, my name is Duddy and I'm super excited to be with you guys virtually today. I'm going to share a little bit about what I do, which is sell real estate along the main line. Okay, so before we get into the ins and outs of residential real estate, I think it's really important for you guys to know why people would want to choose to live around the main line.
Philadelphia, a bustling metropolis, was a main stop on the Pennsylvania Railroad. As the railroad extended west of the city, small towns began to flourish along its route. Wealthy families moved out to the country, forming affluent and picturesque towns around the different stations. Spanning across 3 counties, this vibrant collection of townships became known as the Main Line. Remembered for its illustrious history, it is named for the train that still runs from Center City to Paoli, parallel to Lancaster Avenue, Route 30. Colloquially divided into the lower and upper main lines, these lavish communities are home to grand estates and horse farms, as well as many beloved traditions, including the famous Radnor Hunt. As the railway expanded, many stations took their names from the surrounding towns. The delightful Bryn Mawr is among the most beautiful resident areas in the country. Its upscale shopping, unique boutiques, and highly regarded schools add to its charm. Its train station has since been rebuilt in a mock colonial style. Wayne began as a summer resort for the well-to-do Philadelphians who wanted the comforts of the country but the conveniences of the city. Today, Main Street is the center of the business district, and nestled among its many shops are the historic Wayne Hotel and Anthony Wayne Theater. While it is not on the rail line, Gladwin is still considered a main line community. Its unique estates and homes can be found throughout the village. Originally the last stop on the main line, Malvern dates back to the Victorian era, which is reflected in its building facades, street lamps, and brick pavements. Home to many of the best public and private schools in the country, the Main Line is nationally recognized for its high academic excellence and gorgeous college campuses. Breathtaking scenery, quaint towns, striking architecture, and the Main Line's overall high quality of life make it the place to be. Experience its luxury.
Okay, so now that we know why people want to live around the main line, if someone was to buy a house around the main line, the first thing that they probably were going to do is talk to a real estate agent, and that's what I do. So I've been selling real estate along the main line for about 13, 14 years. It's really all that I know, and I feel so fortunate that I found this career young in my life, and that I've been doing it for so long. So if someone decides that they want to buy around here, they're probably going to contact a real estate agent because I will help them find a house that fits their needs. Now, some things that I love about the mainline real estate market is that we have affordable options. We have condos that are pretty inexpensive, and then we also have some of the most beautiful estates that you will ever see. Anything is possible along the main line. It's just a matter of finding the right home for your needs. So many of my days are spent driving around, taking a look at all of the houses that are available for sale. This is really important because most of my buyers, when they hire me, are entrusting me that I'm going to help them find the best house for their budget. And I can do this by making sure that I know exactly what's for sale in the market. Another thing that I do is often tell people what changes they can easily make with a house. It's very uncommon for someone to walk into a house and love everything about it. So one thing that I offer my clients is I give suggestions on what things they can do to make it really feel the way they would want. And this is definitely something that I specialize in. So here's a great example. I had these clients that bought this beautiful house in Bryn Mawr, but they did not love the kitchen at all. So I was able to give them some suggestions saying, you know what, you could paint the cabinets, you could change the countertops, and you really could make this the way you want it to look and feel. And that's exactly what they did. So knowing how much things cost and understanding what you can do is really beneficial to my clients in so many ways. So if half of my time is spent working with buyers, the other half of my time is working with sellers, people who are looking to sell their house around the main line. I will have people who are both buyers and sellers because they might be looking for a house to sell and then they want to purchase a new home. So often it's both, but they generally fall into the two categories. So when I'm selling a house, like this house in Bryn Mawr that I recently just sold, it's a pretty big deal because my sellers are entrusting me with one of the largest assets that they have. So we go through a whole process to make sure that we're going to get them top dollar for their home. So we help them prepare their house for sale. We help them do a pricing analysis to make sure that the house is priced right against its competition. And then we're going to do marketing efforts to make sure that everyone knows about the house. So if that's video or social media. And then one thing that we always do is we really help people make sure that their house has that right look and feel so that when buyers walk through the door, they really get a sense that the house is a good value. And one simple way that we do that is staging. So our staging team, as you'll see here, will come in and we'll stage a home before it's listed for market. So we'll bring in accessories, we'll move things around, and we'll really make sure that the house is just right before we go to market. All of these things are really important to make sure that we have a successful sale. So here's that same house, the before picture. This is what it looked like when we showed up the day before we staged it, and this is what it looked like before the house went to market. And as you can tell, this is a much better presentation. We're able to help these clients sell their house, get top dollar. We were sold within one day. Okay, so just in closing, my kids are coming home. I can hear them. Again, another reason why I love real estate, that I can kind of work it in and out of my family. I feel like this is such an amazing profession. More people should get into it. I love it that I can be flexible. I can arrange my schedule when I need it. I also love that there is no ceiling on what you can do with real estate. I'm basically work for myself. I create my own business, and the sky's the limit. We have such an amazing area around here, and you know, more people should consider real estate. It's a really wonderful profession, and I'm so grateful that I got started in it many years ago. So just to recap, if you love homes, if you like working with people, if the idea of running your own business and doing multiple things is of interest to you, definitely consider residential real estate. It's an amazing opportunity. It's been so great for myself and my family, and I think more people should do it.
Hello, St. Catherine's School. Happy New Year. Happy 2021. Radnor Police Department is very excited to be here on Career Day. My name is Superintendent Christopher Flanagan. I'm in charge of the police department. Normally, we're always in the cafeteria, and we love telling you about what police officers do and the service they give the community. I hope you consider a career in law enforcement because it is a great job. I'd like to introduce you to one of our hardest workers. It's K-9 Officer Ryan Collins. She and her female partner, Ursi, are an unbelievable team. Officer Collins is going to share with you the challenges and excitement of being a K-9 officer in Radnor Township.
Hello, students of SKS. I'm Officer Ryan Collins, as Superintendent Flanagan introduced me. I am a K-9 officer with Radnor Township Police Department. My partner is K-9 Ursi. I've been with Radnor Township for about 3 years, and K-9 Ursi has been with us for about 1. Part of my duties as a K-9 officer is that I had to attend a training in Philadelphia for almost a year, in which Ursi and I learned how to do certain aspects of our job. Some of those things that are included in that is that Ursi had to learn how to become a patrol dog. Her duties are tracking, article searches, which in terms is finding lost items, and protection. And this is K9 RC. So what's different about our car is that we have this cage in the back here. This is where Ursi spends a lot of her time when we're working. Do that. So because of where Ursi comes from, she is a bilingual dog. Her original commands were in Czech, and then I had to teach her the English. So some of the commands that she knows in both languages are Sydney, sit. So some of the commands that Ursi knows are sit, which is in English, lay knee, that's down in Czech, heel, can I say? Can I say is heel in Czech, which heel is in English, and those are some of the words that Ursi knows in 2 languages. We try to find a nice empty park to go play in. We usually end up at Radnor High School, but sometimes we'll end up anywhere that has a nice feel to it. From K9 Ursi and I and the Radnor Township Police Department, thank you so much for having us be part of your virtual career day. If you have any questions, always feel free to stop by. We're more than happy to talk to you and maybe give you a tour of the station once all the COVID situation is over. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Mrs. GALCZENSKI. I'm Evan GALCZENSKI's mom. He's in the 5th grade at St. Catherine's. I am a nurse practitioner. A nurse practitioner is a nurse who's gone on to do more schooling and training in order to help take care of patients alongside other physicians and other healthcare professionals. Nurse practitioners can see patients, do exams, prescribe medications, order different tests, and really take care of patients similarly to a doctor. But I do go to a doctor for an opinion about something if needed. I knew I wanted to be a nurse practitioner because my mom is a nurse, and I knew that I wanted to help people, and I really wanted to help people know how to take care of their health better. I really love being a nurse practitioner because I get to do a lot of different things, and I get to work in a lot of different places with my job. I've worked in doctor's offices, I've worked in nursing homes, I've worked in facilities that help people with drug and alcohol problems. I've worked in a hospital with internal medicine specialists, and I work now with surgery. As a nurse practitioner, I get to work with doctors, I get to work with physical therapists, I get to work with nutritionists, I get to work with all different types of people that are working to help people do better with their own health and help keep them healthy, and if they're in the hospital, help get them home and stay healthy. Right now, my job on the surgery team, we take care of patients that need emergency surgery, typically in their abdomen or their belly. We do surgeries that would be removing someone's appendix, taking out somebody's gallbladder, repairing their bowel or their colon if needed. We also take care of patients that might have wounds or cuts on their legs or their arms or their back and help repair that. There's a lot of different things that I do and see every single day, and I think that's exciting. My main role at My job right now is I take care of patients before they go into the operating room, after they get out of the operating room, and every day until they get to leave the hospital. In order to get to where I was, I had to do a lot of schooling, and definitely being in healthcare, there's a lot of schooling that goes along with that. I had to go to college and I got a bachelor's, then I did more schooling and got a master's in nursing, and I've done some more certifications to keep getting more and more specialized. I think that being a healthcare provider is really rewarding. It lets you do a lot of different things, work with a lot of different people, and really get to help people. Especially now when we have a pandemic, it's been pretty hard, but I definitely enjoy still helping people get better. I hope that you consider a career in healthcare, and I hope that you enjoy the rest of your career day. Thanks.
Hello, St. Catharines. This is Steve Elliott, proud father of Nora, Tommy, and Emily, and future St. Catherine Wildcat Nessa. Wanted to spend a couple minutes and talk to you a little bit about my career working at Google. I joined Google just about a year ago, and before that I spent just over 8 years working at Amazon. And specifically I work at Google Cloud, which is Google's cloud business, and I am in a sales role at Google Cloud, which I very much enjoy. And I enjoy it because I get to work with a variety of different types of people that want to use Google Cloud's products. So specifically, I get to work with different types of researchers. So some people sell Google Cloud services to companies like Twitter or PayPal. My background is working with universities and the scientific community on using cloud services. And so Google's cloud services are basically things like computers and databases and really interesting stuff like artificial intelligence and machine learning. But instead of a researcher having to buy their own computers, they can just use Google Cloud and take advantage of all the computers that Google manages in these very large things called data centers. But anyways, the interesting part about my business is that I get to work with all these really cool researchers who do a lot of amazing things. So I get to work with astronomers, I get to work with people doing high energy physics, I get to work with people who are doing computer chip design, all these incredibly smart people where I know very little about their scientific domain, but they like to take advantage of Google's cloud and all the cool technology that comes out of Google, and they like to do it to try and make new scientific discoveries. Another cool aspect about my job that I really like is that Google makes all these products that everybody uses every day, including myself, including my kids, and including St. Catharines. So I get to work with universities and research institutions on using things like Gmail and Google Meet and Google Classroom. And I think all of you, and probably the St. Catharines staff for sure, know a lot more about Google Classroom than I do, but it's really neat to see all of these different products that Google makes and have them so prevalent outside of work. The path that I took to work in technology, I don't know how to, build a website really, or I don't know how to, manage a database. But how I got into technology is directly linked to my experiences in college. So in college, one of my favorite things is that I was a geography major. So in college, you have to pick an area that you want to focus on, and then you get your degree in it. And it could be anything from, finance to education. And I didn't know what I wanted to do. And I called my dad and I said, Dad, I got to pick a major. What do I do? And my dad said, well, what classes are you doing really well in? And I was like, next question. And then my dad said, hey, what classes do you really enjoy? And I said, well, I've been taking these geography courses, physical geography, cultural geography, and I really like the teachers. I really like the content. It's interesting. It's different. And my dad said, well, I think you have your answer. And so that was how I selected my major. And geography is a very, very cool subject because it's almost like the science of everything. But it's all about location, and no matter where you are, you want to be able to understand the things around you. So it's kind of the science of understanding everything around you. But there's different types of geography. There's cultural geography, there's physical geography, there's weather and climate, there's landscapes. But anyways, after I graduated college, I ended up getting a technology sales job, selling little pieces of hardware, kind of like desktops and laptops. And I got some good advice where it says you probably should be selling software. That software is a much better business to be in. And I ended up working for a software company that made geography-related software or mapping software. And so this company is called Esri. They're the most popular, outside of Google Maps now, they're the most popular mapping software company in the world. And it turned out that they were an early adopter of Amazon's cloud services. So I was working at this geography software company. They turned out to be an early adopter of Amazon and cloud computing. And I learned about Amazon Cloud there. And then I ended up, when Mrs. Elliott had Tommy and Emily, I ended up looking for a new job and got a job at Amazon and worked at Amazon for 8 years and had a good time there. And then last year came over here to Google. So that is kind of the background on how I got to Google. That is a little bit about what I do at Google Cloud. It's a wonderful career to take. I feel very, very fortunate. And I think the one piece of advice that I would kind of leave you with is to never worry about not knowing what you want to do. I think if you continue to try and make good decisions, I think if you continue to be a good person, I think if you continue to work hard, you will end up figuring out what you need to do and ultimately, hopefully, what you want to do. So that's a little bit of background on my career, and wish you the best of luck. Good job this week with Catholic School Week, and we'll talk to you soon. See ya.
Hey everybody, my name is KYLIE Johnson. I graduated from St. Catherine of Siena in 2011, and I currently serve as a surface warfare officer in the United States Navy. After high school, I attended the United States Naval Academy in Annapolis, Maryland, where I earned my bachelor's degree in political science. At the same time that I was earning my college education, I was training to become an officer in the Navy. Over the summer, I would attend trainings in both San Diego, California, and Norfolk, Virginia, where I would meet with and learn from sailors and Marines, both officer and enlisted, to gain a better understanding of what life was like in the fleet. After successfully completing my training and earning my college degree, I graduated from the academy and I commissioned into the Navy as an ensign in May of 2019. I then attended a couple of follow-on schools and trainings before finally reporting to the USS Baton LHD-5 in Norfolk, Virginia in September of 2019, where I've been stationed ever since. The USS Baton is an LHD, which is a type of ship that the Navy has in its fleet, and my primary responsibility as an officer on board is to lead sailors and Marines and to be a positive impact on their personal and their professional development. Shortly after checking on board my ship, I left for a 7-month deployment where I sailed across the Atlantic and into other parts of the world, and my primary role was to safely navigate the ship at sea and to earn qualifications in different watch stations and roles on board so that I could become a better, well-rounded, and fully qualified surface warfare officer. By the time that I returned home in July of 2020, I had gained many new friends and many new experiences, and I had earned my surface warfare qualification, which is designated by this pin that you see on my uniform. Since returning home, I've been working with my sailors to get the ship fixed up and ready to go back out to sea and underway, and I will be transferring to the intelligence community this fall to become an intelligence officer and serve out the rest of my time in the Navy. When you commission in the Navy, you owe 5 years back to the Navy. And I've been fortunate enough to have served the last almost 2 years on a ship, and then I'll be serving out the rest of my time as an intelligence officer. There's a lot of different things that you can do in the Navy, to include flying planes, serving on submarines, serving on ships, being an intelligence officer, and anything that you're passionate about, the Navy definitely has a place for you. I come from a really big Navy family. Both of my parents served as naval intelligence officers and had a huge impact on me growing up. And my older sister, Shannon, who graduated from St. Catherine of Siena a couple of years ahead of me, is serving as a Marine Corps officer out in San Diego, California. So if you have that call to serve, I highly encourage you to explore it. I've had an amazing experience so far, and I've met people that I know will remain in my life for a very, very long time. And I love talking about what I do. I love what I do, and I'm happy that I had this opportunity to share it with you guys. If you have any questions, please don't ever hesitate to reach out. And as a final word, go Navy, beat Army.
Hey, St. Catherine's of Siena. I'm Greg DICOCCO, and I was a part of the graduating class of 2007. And happy Catholic Schools Week. Well, Mr. Heacock reached out to me and said, you guys are celebrating your career day. And that helped trigger in my memories of when I was sitting in your guys' seat and people were coming all in and telling us and me and my friends about their careers. And it really put a lot of pressure, stress, and a little bit of anxiety on me and what my future and my career is going to look like. I thought I had to get into this college, to get this job, to marry that girl, and I didn't know what I was going to do as an adult. And that's what I just want to be here to tell you guys. Do not stress about anything, because life always works out. Because I can tell you that as a 28-year-old kid, I am the vice president of sales and operations for a nationwide trucking company called Trucking Circle. And you might think that is so boring, but I'm the one that gets to work with Optimus Prime every single day. I manage a sales team that sells these trucks all across the country to all sorts of companies that move textiles and foods all the way from the East Coast to the West Coast, north to south. The trucking company is actually the second largest industry in America. And we, my company, get to help support and produce that. And it's pretty great. We get to help and support families that own these companies to help grow and maintain their fleet to make them become successful. And it actually utilizes and helps you guys get the food and the Acme's all down the street, and it's pretty rewarding. But I never thought that I would be here. But what really helped me was help utilize the gifts and talents that God has placed inside of me. And I really grew those gifts and talents my 7th and 8th grade year, one of them being the gift of gab, especially in Mr. Heacock's 7th period history class. And that's what I want to tell you guys. It doesn't matter about what career is aligned in your future. What matters right now is to utilize those gifts and talents that God has placed in each and every one of you. Because the moment you utilize that, you will find a purpose and calling in each and every one of you that's going to help change the world in the future. And that is going to be an amazing career one day. I want to thank you guys for allowing me to come on here and speak about my career. That is a great career that I learned to love, and I'm very blessed to have. And I want to thank Mr. Heacock for allowing me to come on here. You're still the very best DJ that I've ever heard. I hope you're still on the ones and twos teaching the class the best way ever. And I hope you guys have the best Catholic Schools Week ever. And one day, I hope we might be able to meet. Have a happy Catholic Schools Week and an even better career day. See ya.
Hi everyone, my name's Dr. Brennan, and I've prepared this presentation for you all to tell you a little bit about being a doctor. Most importantly, I'm the mother of James, Logan, and Alexis. So here I am with some of the pathology house staff. Those are the other physicians. And we are what's called pathologists. What is a pathologist? A pathologist is a doctor who looks under the microscope. So we get to see things that the naked eye can't see, really teeny tiny things. And we get to see them much larger. So let's have a look at things we might see under the microscope. Cool things under the microscope. Any idea what this might be super close up? It's very pretty. It's sand. What about this? I'll give you a hint, it's a fruit. That's a strawberry. And how about this? What do you think this structure is under the microscope? That's a needle with thread in it. So my career has brought me a lot of interesting places, such as the Walter Reed Medical Center. That is our country's national medical center. That's where all the prominent politicians and prominent military figures go for treatment in the United States. So this is the outside of the Walter Reed Medical Center, and this is something you might see commonly. And it kind of looks like the St. Catherine's car line, but it's not. It's the Secret Service. Why would the Secret Service be there? Because the president was being flown there to the Walter Reed Medical Center when he had coronavirus. And this is very common that the president, the first lady, and their family all get treated at Walter Reed Medical Center. Also was at the National Institutes of Health. This is a world famous Building 10 where all sorts of diseases, including cancer and infectious diseases, all sorts of problems are solved. Most recently, they came up with a vaccine for the Ebola virus. A lot of presidents have visited the National Institutes of Health as well. This is Lyndon B. Johnson, and he said, "Here on this quiet battleground, our nation today leads a worldwide war on disease." And that's what the National Institute of Health is all about. There's another famous person from the National Institutes of Health you all may recognize. Our hero, Dr. Anthony Fauci. He's at the National Institutes of Health. He's a leading world expert on infectious disease. So how do you get such a glamorous career? Well, number one, you've got to read a lot of books. Here's an example of a book I read. It's 3,216 pages, and it weighs 17 pounds. And that's the intro text. You also have to spend a lot of time at the hospital. Here they'll give you the latest and greatest technology from 1982 for communications. This is called a pager. No one's really seen one after 1990, but we still use them in the hospital. Also, all those hours in the hospital being paged and being on call will make you very tired. You're going to want to sleep wherever you can when you're in that hospital. But don't worry, there's also nice meals. Well, anyway, there's food. The other thing is you're going to have to go to school for a long time. So after graduating college, I went to school and training for 9 years. I did 4 years of medical school, and then I did 5 years of residency. So for you guys, that's kind of like going from kindergarten to 8th grade, finishing 9 years at St. Catherine's, graduating, and saying, you know what, I want to go back to kindergarten again. Medical school is also very expensive. It costs $75,000 a year at least for a private school, and you have to go for 4 years. So to go to medical school, if you do this math problem, it costs $300,000. And then for me, I made about $60,000 in the time I was a resident, and I was a resident for 5 years. So I made $60,000 for 5 years, and that's a grand total of, $300,000. So I made a little equation, and it said if Kelly made $300,000 but spent $300,000, how many Wawa cups of coffee can she buy? Because I love Wawa coffee. The answer is, unfortunately, 0. So another thing you have to do if you're going to go to medical school is ignore everything you know about basic math. But there are other options. You can take out loans, so you can get your Wawa cup of coffee, or You can join the military, such as what James and Alexis's dad did. That bought him some trips to war zones, such as Iraq. And this is one of the dust-filled areas that he stayed in for a year in 2007. While Logan and James stayed home with me, and Logan was a student at St. Catherine's, and James awaited patiently for his dad to come home. But one of the things that kept him going the whole time when he was in Iraq were these beautiful drawings. And these drawings were done by Mrs. Panera's second grade class in 2007. They stayed on his wall the whole time he was at the war, and they meant so much to him. So why would you go through all of this? Well, I don't know, but I know why I did. I was actually once a child at St. Catherine's. I began in first grade. This is my first grade picture at St. Catherine's. That was our old uniforms. And when I was at St. Catherine's, I learned about this person. This is Mother Teresa. And Mother Teresa inspired me when I was in St. Catherine's. Images such as this, where she's feeding people who are alone and sick and rejected and poor and abandoned often. These images really affected me, and I wanted to be just like Mother Teresa. She made me realize that we all have the power to change the world, and that it doesn't take much to make the world a better place. You just have to have a lot of strength in your heart. And these were also some of the things that really affected me as I went along in my religious education at St. Catherine's. These really concrete values of things that would make the world a better place. To feed the hungry, to give drink to the thirsty, to clothe the naked, to shelter the homeless, to care for the sick, to visit those imprisoned, and to bury the dead. So after college, before I even went to medical school, I spent a year in North Philadelphia in an area of the city that was quite dangerous and very, very economically depressed. Essentially, people didn't have a lot of money, a lot of food, a lot of resources, and the educational system was quite bad. So I spent a year there teaching in a school where the children needed a lot of support. After that, I went off and I became a doctor. So I told you a little bit about the microscope, but I didn't really tell you much about being a pathologist itself. So what is a pathologist? Well, okay, say someone goes to their family doctor and they say, hey doc, I got something wrong with me, I think. And the family doctor will say, well, why don't we go take a look inside at the radiologist? And the radiologist might take a picture inside of them. And then if they find something that shouldn't be there, one doctor, the one right here, is going to put that patient to sleep. And the other doctor, the surgeon, is going to cut whatever it is out of that person. But at this point, they don't really know what it is that's inside that patient. So they bring whatever's inside that patient to the pathologist who looks at it under the microscope. And they figure out what was inside of that person. So I'm going to give you some examples of that. So here's an example of a colon. This is one of the intestines. And unfortunately, here's cancer. So you might ask yourself, well, how do you know it's cancer? Well, you guys have learned about mitoses and how chromosomes line up. Well, when you see abnormal mitoses, these are cells that are dividing inappropriately or really, really big cells. You start to worry, is there a cancer? But that's not the only thing that can be present in people. Sometimes it's an infection. This is a fungus. This is a living organism. So they would want to give the patient sort of like an antibiotic, but it's called an antifungal. Here's another example of something that might be inside of a person. You have lung tissue here, and then we have these weird gray structures. They're not supposed to be there. If we dim the lights, they start to really become very bright. And that's a substance that should not be there in the lungs. Does anyone have any idea what it might be? It's actually baby powder. This patient inhaled baby powder, which is really dangerous. So essentially, the pathologist determines what type of disease is present. So after they determine what's present, then the patient might go off to an oncologist or to an infectious disease doctor to get treatment afterwards. So the pathologist is part of that big team and line of people to help the patient along. So some people say a pathologist is a doctor's doctor, that the way that they care for patients and I care for patients is knowing what's in the books and knowing all the disease possibilities and being able to memorize all of them and be able to look under the microscope and say, this is what the patient has. But I'm not the only graduate of St. Catherine's from my class in 1989. One of my classmates, Josh Mancini, became a general surgeon in the military. Frank Buckman became an ENT, that's ears, nose, and throat, from in the military. Another St. Catherine's graduate in my class, and there was probably only about 22 of us, Baldan Tran Nguyen, she became a family medicine doctor, and then myself. So about 20% of us became doctors, so chances are if you want to be a doctor and you're at St. Catherine's, well, we all did it, you probably can too. Anyway, I want to thank you for your time and the best of luck in all of your dreams.
Hello, St. Catherine's. My name is Andrew Oliver, and I'm going to be talking to you today about my job at Microsoft. So before I get into my job at Microsoft, I wanted to introduce myself a little bit. I graduated from St. Catherine's in 2012, and after SKS, I went to St. Joe's Prep, and then after St. Joe's Prep, I went to college at Duke University, which is down in North Carolina. At Duke, I studied computer science and math, and I got to do plenty of fun stuff like see Duke basketball play as well. So for those of you who don't know about Microsoft, Microsoft is a technology company based out of Redmond, Washington. And I looked it up, and Redmond, Washington is pretty far from SKS, almost 3,000 miles away. Microsoft has a lot of products and services, and these include the Xbox, as well as Microsoft Word, Microsoft PowerPoint, Outlook, things like that. Microsoft also has Azure, which is our cloud computing services, and you probably all haven't heard of that one. That makes sense, but a lot of businesses and companies will use Azure for things like computing, things like hosting, and stuff of that sort. Microsoft was founded by Bill Gates in 1975. So now what I do at Microsoft is I'm a software engineer, and that's a pretty broad term. Software engineers do a lot of different things. But at the core of it, software engineers use code to develop products and build services. And so I've highlighted some products and services on this slide here. Things like Google Drive, or Apple's iMessage, or YouTube. These are all products and services that are built by software engineers. Now at Microsoft, what my team does is we process data to output financial reports. And these financial reports will be used to tell how Microsoft is doing, what companies we're working with, and things like that. There are a lot of different problems and challenges that I work on day to day, but I've highlighted three of the main ones here. The first is big data processing. So we have to process about roughly 1 billion rows of data, and we have to extract what we need from this data, we got to parse it, and we have to put it out in some reasonable form. And so this is a pretty difficult problem just because there's so much source data to work with. The other problem we work on is user experience. So obviously other people are going to come and look at our reports, and we want to make sure that these reports are intuitive, they're easy to find, they're easy to use, and things like that. Lastly, we work on correctness. So when we give a report or when we output some data, we want to make sure that that data is correct, accurate, and up to date. But with such a big data set, something like 1 billion rows, that's a pretty difficult problem. So sometimes we'll use tools like machine learning, which you all may or may not have heard of, but it's the idea of teaching a computer to identify things that are wrong, rather than just explicitly telling it what things are wrong. I also wanted to highlight some other software engineers that you all may have heard of. So in the top right, in that black and white photo, you'll see two people. The one person standing is Steve Jobs, who you probably have heard of. He was the founder of Apple. But also sitting at the desk is Steve Wozniak, who was really one of the engineers behind Apple's first computer and its first set of products. And on the left there, you'll see Grace Hopper. She was a rear admiral in the US Navy, and she designed one of the very first computers that was used towards the end of World War II. This computer was called the Mark II, and it was built at Harvard. On the bottom right there, you'll see Mark Dean. Mark was one of the engineers that was responsible for getting the first IBM personal computer released, and this happened in about 1980. Now, I've mentioned some of the products that Microsoft offers, but software engineers build products across various industries and various technologies. So for example, Google, Netflix, TikTok, Instagram, Disney+, Zoom, all of these are products that are built by engineers. Now, plenty of people help the software engineers in building these products, business people, design people, people who test the products, and things like that. But software engineers are a core part of all of these products. Lastly, I wanted to highlight some ways that you can start writing code, or ways for you to get some experience as a software engineer. So Microsoft MakeCode and Scratch are two great resources for people just new to coding in general, new to software engineering as a whole. And they'll help get you introduced, get you up to speed, and teach you a little bit about it. The Coding School is a great nonprofit that pairs students with mentors and people that are more well-versed in computer science, and it helps them teach and learn things. Lastly, code.org is a great organization as well, where you can go online and start practicing writing code and getting some experience with it as well. So I want to thank you all for listening to my presentation. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you have a great rest of your career day at SKS. Thanks again.
Hey guys, my name is Sarah Robinson and I am a wardrobe stylist. I am so excited to be attending St. Catherine's 2021 Career Day. In the next couple minutes, I'll take you through a little bit about myself, my career, and what a day in the life looks like for me as a wardrobe stylist. I hope you enjoy. Let's get started. So a little bit about me. Here I am up there with my cat Oscar. I am 24. I grew up in Wayne, PA, and I was a student at SKS a long time ago, like 2010. I graduated from here. Here's a few pictures for proof. There's me at the tableau with my two friends. There's me again, the big braid and the trophy. So I graduated from St. Catherine's and then I went to Radnor High School. When I was at Radnor, I did costumes for the theater program and I took sewing classes and art classes and was just really into all their creative things. Okay, I'm running out of time, so I'm gonna have to do a part 2. So after I went to Radnor High School, I then went to college at the Indiana University of Pennsylvania, and there I studied fashion merchandising and I also studied marketing. After high school and doing all of those creative classes that they had to offer, I decided that I really loved fashion, but I wanted to have a career in the business side of it rather than the creative side of it. Although I still wanted to be able to stay creative, I just didn't want to be the one making the clothes. I like to look at fashion merchandising as the behind the scenes of fashion. While I was in college, I decided to study abroad in London, which was so fun, and I went to the London College of Fashion and studied styling. So here's where I studied all about styling, and it's where I decided that this is what I wanted to have a career in when I graduated from college. So I applied to many jobs all over the United States, and I ended up accepting a job offer from QVC, the television network, as a stylist. So my current position with QVC is a host wardrobe stylist. So let's go into a little about what a stylist even is. So as stated in the definition up here, a stylist is a consultant who selects clothing for editorial pieces, advertising campaigns, TV advertising, which is what I do, and like music videos, concert performances, and any public appearances. So a more easy definition would be to say that I select outfits for people appropriate for the event that they are attending. So I'll go through a little about what exactly it takes to style an outfit, which is pretty much what I do all day, every day. So I will get sent an email that the person I work with is needed for a photo shoot within the next coming weeks. These photo shoots are used on the TV channel, on the website, and also on their social media, so Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all the above. I'll then grab a coffee, run into work, and get started. Usually what happens is they tell me one product that needs to be sold, and I then put together a look around that one item. So for this photo shoot, the item was this denim jacket that you can see on the mirror and on Julia, my client. I styled a casual look with pants, and then a more fashion-forward look with a snake dress and the jacket put over it. So I'll go through a little. So now I'll just review a little bit about my thought process when I was putting together one of these outfits for the photo shoot. So for this particular look, I wanted to make sure that I could show our customer that you can take a very casual denim jacket and really dress it up. I started by finding this super cute midi dress that was flowy, and it was a cool print that was definitely in style right now, snake print. I then pulled from the cream color in the snake skin and got booties that had a heel on them to match back to the dress and make the look a little more upscale. Upscale meaning fancy. Lastly would be the accessories. I think the sunglasses are the most important. Sunglasses are great to add to any look you're styling, especially if it's something that looks like a nighttime look, because by adding sunglasses, it makes the customer believe that you can wear the outfit during the day. And then there you have the finished look. Thank you guys so much for letting me virtually attend your career day. I know if I was fortunate enough to be with you guys in person today, you might have some questions, so feel free to contact me. I will put up here my email, and also this is my website. If you want to go on my website, you can chat me on there or send me an email directly from my website. This was so much fun. Thanks again for having me, and enjoy the rest of career day.
Hi everyone, this is Mrs. Mahan. I am Sean and Georgia's mom. I'm really excited to be here today to talk to you a little bit about my job as the Associate General Counsel for FMC Corporation. So you may wonder what it means to be an Associate General Counsel. Well, an Associate General Counsel is a type of lawyer that works for a company. There are a lot of different types of lawyers. Some work in courtrooms, some work for the government, and others, like me, work for companies. So today what I'm going to talk to you about is what I do as a lawyer for FMC. But first, it's important for you to understand what FMC does as a company so that you can understand how I help them. And then last, I'm going to answer some questions that I think might be interesting to you all about how I became interested in being a lawyer, what I like about being a lawyer, and sometimes there are things that I don't like about being a lawyer at FMC. Thanks for inviting me. I hope you enjoy the presentation. So let me tell you a little bit about FMC. FMC is an agricultural sciences company, and our headquarters is located in downtown Philadelphia. So when you drive through Philadelphia, right near the train station, you'll see our building with the name FMC right here at the top. So let me take you on a tour of the inside of the FMC tower where I work most days. Although right now I'm working most of my time from home due to the pandemic, just like a lot of your parents, I did go in the office to take a couple pictures to show you around. This is the lobby when you come into the office. This is a video of my office in the FMC tower on the 23rd floor. This is where I normally work when we're not in a pandemic and working from home most of the time. You'll see that there's a nice view of the city of Philadelphia. As I mentioned, FMC is an agricultural sciences company. That means that we research and develop chemicals that are used by farmers all around the world to help protect their crops. Anything from corn to vegetables to fruit. And we have employees located all over the world. Our headquarters, as I mentioned, is in Philadelphia. Since FMC is a research and development company and a manufacturing company, we have employees that have many different jobs. We have scientists who do research and experiments trying to discover new chemicals. We have people that work in greenhouses, which are located in Delaware, not too far from where we are now. We have manufacturing plants where we make the chemicals, and we have employees that work there. You can see in the middle of the page here, they've got lots of safety equipment on. And then at the bottom are examples of our salespeople. Sometimes they meet with our customers out on golf courses to help make sure that those golf courses stay green and healthy. And then also they meet with farmers out in their fields all over the world to make sure that they understand how to use chemicals properly to help protect their crops. Here's an example of FMC products and how they're used on vegetables like broccoli out in the field to protect them from insect damage. So you'll see on the field on the left here, FMC products were applied. On the field crops on the right here, they were not applied. And you can tell that these crops on the left are looking pretty healthy and green. And on the right, you'll see that there's some plants that have died and look like they have some damage to them. So this is just to show you how FMC products help farmers keep their plants healthy. As a lawyer for FMC, the main parts of my job are to give advice to people on how to follow the law and act in an ethical manner. I also spend a lot of time reading documents and explaining them to people. And then finally, I negotiate and write legal documents such as contracts. So what is a contract? A contract is a legal written document that says what two parties might agree to. For example, if I want to sell a car and you want to buy a car from me, it's always good to put all the details of that agreement in writing. What would be important details to put in a contract for a car purchase and sale? Well, first, it would be good to put down what kind of car you're buying or selling. Is it a convertible? Is it a minivan? Is it an SUV? Also, what color is the car? Are you selling a red car, a black car? How old is a car? Is this an older car? Is it a brand new car? And then finally, how much does the car cost and how much are you going to pay for it? There's a lot of other details that might be in a contract. For example, when am I going to get the car? Are you going to bring it next week or next month? You don't want a buyer to think that they're buying this nice brand new red sports car when the seller is actually selling this old white van. So contracts make sure that everyone knows what they've agreed to. So as I said, I spend a lot of time reading and writing. So that means a lot of time on my computer. But I also get to work with a lot of people who work for FMC who are all over the world. This is a picture of me on a call just yesterday with people from Switzerland, from Singapore, and others based in Philadelphia. I tried to think of some questions that you might have if we were having Career Day in person today. So let me see if I can answer them for you. How did I decide to become a lawyer? Well, that's an interesting question. For a lot of people, I think they choose their careers based on maybe what they learn from what their families do. And that's definitely the case for me. My father is a lawyer, and my grandfather was a lawyer too. So when I was growing up, I had the opportunity to see what being a lawyer meant and learn a little bit about what lawyers do as I was young. What do I like about being a lawyer at FMC? Well, as I was talking about, FMC is an international company, so I have the opportunity to work with people from all over the world almost every day. And when we're not in the pandemic, I also have the opportunity to travel all around the world and meet with people for FMC. I've been to places like Tokyo and Hong Kong, Buenos Aires, Argentina, and Brazil, and all over Europe as well. And so that gives me an opportunity to learn about different cultures and experience new places. And to me, that's really exciting and interesting. If you ask me what I don't like about being a lawyer at FMC, if I'm being honest, science was never my best subject in school. And working for a science-based company can be a challenge at times. But I'm fortunate because we have a lot of really smart people, a lot of great scientists at FMC, and they're always willing to help explain things and teach you new things, and so that can be exciting as well. And then the last part, as I mentioned, I do travel quite a bit when I'm not in quarantine like all of us. And so that takes me away from home sometimes, and I don't like being away from Sean and Georgia more than I need to. But again, it's a great career, and I really am fortunate that I have a career that I enjoy. And thank you for letting me talk to you about it. I'm going to end the presentation with some pictures of my travels while I've been working for FMC. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.
Hi, St. Catherine of Siena community. Thank you for watching my video. My name is Jennifer Lindner. I am mom to Kate, Caroline, and Sean McGlynn. What if I told you that nothing really ever goes wrong in life? If you're in kindergarten, you might answer, "What? That's not true. This morning, my baby brother refused to sit in his car seat and made us late for school, and I had to sign in with Mrs. Candello." If you're in 4th grade, you might say, "My best friend is ignoring me today. That feels awful and certainly wrong. I'm sad and I can't concentrate." If you're in 8th grade, you might respond, "Who is this lady? What is she talking about? Last week, I sprained my wrist and now I can't take notes in class." Or, "I studied really hard for my math test and I only got a 70. My parents are going to be so mad." Or, "I'm really worried about what high school I'm going to next year. Not knowing is stressing me out." So you guys, I am not crazy. All of these responses and feelings are real and true. But what I'm saying could change the way you think about your friends, your parents, and your life in general. Everything you perceive as a problem or a worry or an anxiety is actually an opportunity, an invitation to expand, grow, mature, and become more of who and what you really are. And this is what I do. I am an integrative life coach. I support kids and adults as they work through challenges, worries, and life changes, and help them to understand how strong, capable, flexible, and amazing they really are. How did I decide to make this my job? I have studied many things in many schools and have worked in many places. For a while, I was a pastry chef. Then I wrote cookbooks with well-known chefs. I studied art and history and worked in museums. I even got a degree in integrative nutrition, which is a fancy way of saying that I can help people choose to eat well and make healthy choices. But then about 7 years ago, I decided that what I enjoyed most, apart from being creative, is talking to people, working through challenges, and helping them to up-level their lives in a variety of ways. I enjoy listening to others' stories and providing space for them to express their feelings and emotions. And I really appreciate the opportunity to assist them as they gain clarity and discern effective solutions to whatever issues are showing up in their lives. If you think you'd like a job that you can do from just about anywhere, maybe becoming a coach is attractive to you. I get to make my own hours, talk to people in person or virtually or on the phone. I work for myself, so I don't have to go into an office or sign in with an employer. Being a coach offers a lot of freedom, so I can do other things too, like write blogs and books, be a mom, take care of my family, and travel. Working for yourself in any capacity requires focus, though, because I don't have someone making demands on me and telling me to complete my work. I have to employ a certain amount of self-discipline. The thing is, though, if you enjoy what you're doing, if you're curious and love to learn and try new things, you'd probably enjoy working for yourself, being an entrepreneur. What I love most about my job is helping people of all ages understand that life is a constantly unfolding path. Each day, we have the opportunity to walk this road with open hearts, to learn about who we really are and what we have to offer this world and others, and then step into the vision of who we want to be. Whatever challenges or joys come to us, well, they just are what they are. The perspectives and stories we give to them shape our lives in the present, which is right now, as well as in the future, which is just the present at a time seconds or years from now. I think learning about who we are and how to live our best lives is really the best job ever. I highly recommend it. Thanks for watching and listening.
Hi, I'm Matt Mittman, Gage Dad. Do you know what you want to be when you grow up?
For some of us, we know exactly what we want to be when we grow up, and that's awesome. For others of us, we have no idea, and that's okay as well. In my case, I had no idea what I wanted to be when I grew up. So what did I do? I worked hard in school. I finished all my schooling. And then I decided to travel the United States of America with a friend for 58 days. And we started in Philadelphia, went to North Carolina, up to Michigan, down to Texas, and out to Santa Barbara, California, and lived out there for 1 year. And it was after 1 year that I had that aha, I know what I wanted to do. And it was, I want to be an entrepreneur or work for myself. So I called up my best buddy since first grade. Yes, I met him in first grade. He was living back in Philadelphia. And I told him what I wanted to do. He agreed, and we set out on our own. We tried a couple things, and then eventually we became real estate agents or realtors. What does a real estate agent or realtor do? We help people buy homes. We help people sell homes. We help people rent homes. We help people buy investment properties. What does it look like on a day-to-day basis? Well, we spend some time in the office doing our work, getting ourselves prepared, and then we spend a lot of time out in the field, inside houses, seeing what's going on, whether we're buying, selling, or working toward an investment in them. For example, if I'm helping someone buy a home, right now in suburban Philadelphia, around St. Catharines, there's about 2,023 homes available. That's a lot of homes. We can't go out and tour or visit 2,023 homes. So what I do is I help someone who's looking to buy a home narrow that down. How do they narrow it down? For example, some people like homes with pools. And so what I do is I look at that list and they say, I'd like a pool. So I narrow it down to only the homes with a pool. Or someone will say, hey, I have a dog and I need a fenced-in yard. So I'll look for only homes with fenced-in yards. So we take that large list and try to narrow it down. Also, on the inside of the home, what's your favorite room? If I had to guess Gabe's, it's probably the playroom. For others of us, we really like our kitchen. Others really like their bedroom. So when someone's looking for their next home, I say to them, what's your favorite room inside? They tell me, and I say, all right, well, here's the large list. Let's look for the home with the best playroom or the best kitchen. We narrow all that down. Once we narrow it down from all those thousands to 5 or 10, then we go out and tour or visit the home. Then we park out front, we walk through the home, we see if it's exactly like what we thought it was, and when we find something that just feels right, then we put in an offer to purchase that home. How do I help someone sell a home? Well, it's kind of the opposite. There's 2,023 homes available, so I have to help someone stand out, right? Because that's a lot of homes and a lot of competition. So the first thing I do is what I tell Gabe to do a lot is clean up. We sold a home and moved about a year ago, and the first thing Gabe had to do every day before school was clean up. I think we eventually got it to work out, but it's not his favorite thing doing is cleaning up. But all in all, he does a good job. So I help him get the home ready. We take some pictures, we do videos, and we do all kinds of neat stuff because we want that house to stand out. And then people come and they take a look at the property and they decide if they want to sell it. If we're helping someone buy an investment property, we look at it from a numbers perspective. If we're helping someone rent a home, we find one that is for the right amount of time and in the right condition that they want. So we do all those different things. What's my favorite part about being a realtor is I get to help people. That's my favorite part. I get to help someone who has no idea how to buy a home, and I get to help them through the process. I get to help someone find something that's a house, but you know what it becomes after you live there and all your experiences there? It becomes a home. It's my favorite part. I get to help people reach their goals. But what's my least favorite part? Well, I got to work a lot of weekends. So you know when you're out having fun, playing, and just having a great old time on the weekend, I have to spend a lot of time on the weekends working. So that's my least favorite part. So hopefully that helps you give you an idea of what it's like to be a realtor or real estate agent. So next time you're driving to and from St. Catharines, look out the window of the bus or the car and look for those that sign out front that says for sale, and that'll help remind you about what a realtor or real estate agent does.
Hello, everyone. I am Mackie Tembroder's mom, and I'm here to talk to you about a career in insurance and risk management. And I've put together some slides together for you, but to make it easy for you to understand, insurance helps you to repair or replace something very valuable that gets lost in an accident or in a snowstorm or by a fire. I know there was a family in our school who had a tree fall on their house, and insurance pays to make those repairs. So let's take a look at my outline, and I'll share. I thought what you would be interested in is some of the products that I've actually got to see being made. So I'm looking for the share. Hold on a second. There it is. Insurance and risk management, a multifaceted career. So I went to Temple University, and insurance happens to be their largest and strongest program. It's the largest program in the Fox School of Business. And if you study insurance, you can become a risk manager for a large corporation. And a risk manager helps to buy insurance. And they also work on safety programs and other initiatives so that people who get hurt get better as quickly as possible. You could become a risk management consultant like me. You could become an insurance broker where you help your customer get the right insurance. You could be an insurance underwriter where you actually have to analyze risks, and we're going to look at that real quickly. Or you could be a claims handler. Some of you may not know that Mrs. Candello was a claims handler way back in her day. She was a claims advisor at an insurance broker. So what is risk? Risk is when something happens that is unexpected. If you know something's going to happen, you may not like the result, but it's not considered risk. So to understand my clients' needs, I have to do site visits. And I visited many, many manufacturing plants. I've seen steel being made. I've seen glass being melted. I've seen plastic being made. I actually saw the main component of Pampers diapers being made. Would you like to see some of the products that I have seen in production? Look at this. My customer is making the vials to help everybody get medicine for the coronavirus. That business is actually booming right now, as you can understand. They also make very, very, very thin glass for devices. So you may have their product. Their name is SCHOTT, S-C-H-O-T-T. They make the glass for a fireplace. So if you have a gas fireplace or a cover on your fireplace, it may have come from you. Now here's a really cool product that they make. And it's this one, sorry. It's the glass. It's called fused fiber optics, so that you can actually wear these glasses and see at night, and the military uses them. And I'm very proud to say that although I spelled it wrong, Colonel, Mackie's uncle, my brother Christopher, is a very famous Army commander helicopter pilot who's used this product a lot to help keep us safe. For those of you who wear glasses, if you buy your glasses at Walmart, my customer Zeiss makes those, and they also make the wipes to help keep your glasses very, very clean. They make camera lenses. Some of you may actually have their lenses in your phones. Now, I guarantee you probably have their refrigerator. This goes back to SCHOTT again. I guarantee you probably have their refrigerator shelf in your refrigerator. And this is their famous Saran cooktop. So most importantly, what we do as risk managers and risk consultants and brokers and claims handlers is we work to help keep people safe, just like Nurse Mannion. Masks 6 feet apart, the shields you have in your rooms, washing your hands, using hand sanitizer. Those are all called risk control guidelines to help protect you from the virus, to help protect others from the virus, to help keep everyone in school healthy, and to be able to let you go to school. So make sure, and the other thing that we're really focused on is making sure that we've got hospital beds for those who are really, really sick. So I want to thank you all for keeping up the good work. So that is the end of my presentation. I hope you enjoyed it, and I wish you a happy Catholic Schools Week.
Hi guys, my name is Amy Brennan, and I'm the mom of Bella Brennan in 4th grade, Charlie Brennan in 2nd grade, and Grace Brennan in kindergarten. I'm going to tell you a little bit about my job today. I work for a company called American Express. My office is in New York City, and many of you have probably seen your parents maybe shop with a credit card. So I work for a company called American Express who lends money to people if they need extra cash at the time, or it's just a way to help manage your money from day to day and month to month. My job specifically is called business integrity. And what that means is that American Express has a bunch of rules that they expect all of their employees to live by. We call this our code of conduct. So you may have heard some of these concepts at school, such as be honest, do things right and fairly, and also always make sure that you follow the procedures that you've been taught by your leader. And that would be the same as you following the rules of your teachers. So my job specifically is to make sure that everyone is following the rules and living with integrity. So we check up to make sure that people are all doing their jobs correctly. And we also make sure that people aren't trying to game the system or cheat the system or lie in any way. So it's a little bit like a fraud case or like a detective work, so to speak. So I have a large team of about 300 people who all help me listen to phone calls and also look at different transactions to make sure that people did it with very high ethics, with very high honesty. So I hope that was interesting, and I would love to talk to any of you more that need more information. But I hope you have a great career day and a great Catholic Schools Week, and I hope to meet you soon. Take care.
Hello, St. Catherine's of Siena. Thank you for joining my Career Day video. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Paul Jamus, and I'm here to tell you about my career in sales. And I'll start off by just saying that everybody that is watching this has some sales skills. Every time you try to convince your parents to buy you a toy from Target, or you try to convince your parents to take you to Handel's ice cream or to stay up late on a school night, you are using your sales skills. You are trying to convince your parents to do something or buy you something, and you're trying to convince them the benefits of that. You might say that if they take you to Handel's, you'll come right home and do all your homework and go right to bed. So you're trying to sell your parents on the idea of getting you ice cream. And so I trust that everyone watching this video has some sales skills that they use frequently. And that's what it means to be a salesperson. You're going to work for a company that is making a product or offering a service. And as a salesperson, you are responsible for meeting with customers and telling those customers about your company's product or service. And so you're going to tell them about all of the benefits if they use the product or service. You're going to tell them how much it costs, and you're going to try to convince that customer to purchase that product or service, and convince them to pay the company money to get that. And so that's really the core of what a salesperson does. They will make presentations in PowerPoint and meet with customers and try to convince those customers to buy that product that they represent. There's one really important quality in being a good salesperson. It's the most important thing, and it's trust. Nobody wants to buy a product from somebody they don't trust. Your parents have probably dealt with a lot of salespeople, particularly if they go to buy a car. There's going to be a salesperson that they meet with that shows them the features of the car, that shows them how the car works and takes them on a test drive. And your parents would not feel good about buying a car and having that car break after they buy it. The windows don't work, the seatbelts don't work. They would lose trust in that salesperson if they purchased a car that didn't work. And so being trustworthy and being honest is probably the most important part of being a salesperson. And I'll tell you a little bit about how I started out. It was about 20 years ago. I moved to Philadelphia. I was by myself. I had no money. I had no job. And I bought an apartment by myself. And I called my mom and I said, I don't know what to do. And she said, well, people tend to trust you and like you. And those are typical qualities that are good for salespeople. So I started working at a company called Rico, selling copiers. And I went to small businesses and I tried to sell them on the benefits of my copier. And I've been in sales for about 20 years. And in sales, it's okay to change jobs a few times. Sometimes you may get bored with the type of thing that you're trying to sell, or sometimes you want to sell to different types of customers. And so I've changed jobs probably 3 or 4 times in about 20 years. And right now I work for a software company called Viva. As you can see, the big V in my virtual background. And Viva makes software similar to companies like Apple and Google. They make software that you guys use on devices or in the classroom. And Viva makes software that is specific for pharmaceutical companies. And so my job is to go out and meet with those pharmaceutical companies. Those are my customers. And I show them the software and how it works. And I try to convince them of the benefits in using my software. And so that's what I've been doing for the past 10 years or so at Viva. And I'll share with you just a couple of things that are good and a couple of things that are tough about sales. And you'll see I've got a PowerPoint presentation, which is a typical part of my job. Sales is not a job where you're typically in an office. Times are a little different now with the pandemic, but I'm normally out seeing customers, driving to customer locations. I've also traveled to China, Japan, Europe. I've flown all over the country. And that's part of the job, is you're driving to see your customers and presenting to them. And it's great because you get to meet a lot of different people. I've met people from all over the world, and it's fun and it's exciting. It can also be very rewarding if you're good at it. Typically, when you sell something, you get paid commissions, which means if you were to sell something for $1,000, the company you work for will typically give you $50 or $100. And so the more product you sell, the more money you can make. And that's different from other careers where you typically get a salary and you're paid that salary, and there isn't much opportunity to get paid commissions or bonuses. So it's different in sales. The more you sell, the more money you can make. And also, if you do well, you have the opportunity to advance your career. And you might want to have a team of people, 5 or 6 different salespeople that are doing the selling themselves, and you're coaching them and managing them. So those are just a couple of good things about sales. It's also got some challenges. Being in sales, you're on the road. You're not going to an office. You're flying sometimes at inconvenient times, in a hotel by yourself sometimes. There are some things that are not great, and being on the road is not for everybody. Some people are going to prefer driving to an office and being in that office. There's also a lot of pressure your boss is going to expect you to sell things. They're going to expect you to do your job. And if you are not performing well and you don't have sales, then you're not going to feel good about yourself and you're not going to feel good about your career. There's also income uncertainty. As I described, there's an opportunity to make commissions. If you sell something, you get paid a commission on that. If you don't sell something, then you're not going to make as much money. And so that is also not for everybody. Some people do not like the uncertainty that comes with a sales job. And also, you have to present in front of groups of people. When I drive to meetings, I go into a conference room, there could be 5 people in the room, there could be as many as 50 or 60 people in the room. And so you've got to have the right personality, interest in traveling, able to deal with pressure and uncertainty, and be able to present in front of large groups. I think there's a lot of good things about being in sales, and there are some challenges with it. Hopefully this session helped to educate you on some of those things, and hopefully it's a career consideration as you go through school. Thanks very much for listening to the video, and best of luck with the rest of the virtual career fair.
Hi everyone, my name is Susan McCarthy and I'm a St. Catharines of Siena 2007 graduate. I currently work as an engineer at Oracle based in our New York City office, but for the time being, I'm quarantining at my parents' house in Wayne, right down the street from St. Catharines. I work on a product at Oracle called Moat, like the thing around the castle. Moat is an ad tech company that partners with ad agencies and publishers to track their digital ads across the internet. Some of these ad agencies and publishers include Unilever, P&G, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Forbes. What I specifically do there is I work with publishers who have mobile applications only. So an example of this would be TikTok. I'll sit down with TikTok's engineering team, learn about their tech stack, what they're looking to achieve with the Moat product, and how Moat could work within their app. So an example of the Moat technology would be within TikTok when you're scrolling through the app. Maybe you see an ad, maybe you don't. TikTok likes to make the ads very native looking to the app. TikTok, the publisher, and then let's say the advertiser serving the ad, it's a Coca-Cola ad. When you scroll past that, these are things that both the advertiser and the publisher want to track. And so they're using the Moat technology to track that. Some of the things that Moat tracks and that these clients might be looking for is how long the user interacted with it. So if you swiped right past that ad and you didn't even notice it, then the Moat technology picks up on that. If the ad caught your attention, you click on the ad or you keep the ad on screen for X amount of time, that's something else that both of these clients would want to know, and they'd want to know the success of how that ad performed to you, the user. It's pretty cool. I like it because I get to work with a large variety of engineers, especially at some of these bigger companies, and just learn about their technology, learn about them, who they are. And there's been a lot of exciting, rewarding opportunities working with these clients. It's also exciting because you can see the Moat technology is helping shape some of these companies, especially these ad agencies that want to know where these large budgets that they have, how their ads are performing on these different apps that they're serving the ads on. And that can really make or break some of these ads and these companies. So it's exciting just in regards to seeing the work that you're doing is helping shape these companies, and it's also helping shape the industry, which is very cool. A little bit more about myself and how I kind of came into this is I graduated from St. Catharines, but I certainly was not the best at math or science by any means. But St. Catharines taught me how to ask the right questions and get from point A to point B, especially when you're passionate about something. And this has really served me well from a young age, learning these types of skills and onward. I went to Mary and Mercy Academy for high school, And then after Marion, I went to Manhattan College where I studied computer science. I wasn't really sure when I graduated college what I wanted to do, if I wanted to be an engineer, if I wanted to go into sales, if I wanted to go into product, if I wanted to go into one of these many roles that you can choose going into tech, but I knew the job security would be there. I ended up going into an engineering role, but it's exciting because it is it's definitely not a stagnant engineering job. I'm not sitting behind my desk all day. I'm on calls. I'm talking to these interesting, cool clients that we have, and it's been a really rewarding experience so far. I've worked at Oracle for 4 years, and this all started from St. Catherine's. I hit the ground running, and I haven't looked back since. So thanks, St. Catherine's, for instilling those values in me. One last thing before I go, just to prove to everyone that I really am a real St. Catherine's graduate, I just have a picture here on my first day at St. Catherine's, right here. Very exciting times, and that was the beginning. Thanks, everybody.
Hi everyone, my name is Maggie Dwyer. I am class of 2007 from St. Catherine's. Mr. Heacock was my 8th grade teacher, and Mr. Tosti was the principal when I was there. I'm not that old. Currently, I live in Chicago, Illinois. I'm actually in my kitchen right now. But after St. Catherine's, I ended up going to Conestoga for high school, and then I went to University of Pennsylvania in Philly for college, and then I got my master's at Jacksonville University. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about what it is that I do and how I got here. So I'm going to pull up a little presentation to show you guys what I do. So I work for an organization called Recovery on Water. And as you can tell, we are a rowing team, and the women on our team have been diagnosed with breast cancer. So our mission is we're a rowing team and a fitness community for women that have had a breast cancer diagnosis. So really the goal of our organization is for people to stay active. There's research that shows that if you've had cancer and you're active, it can prevent the cancer from coming back. So that's really our goal, is to get women as active as possible. We also want to create an opportunity for them to have support. So all of their teammates have gone through the same thing that they have, and they all have a really special bond, which is really great to see. So I started at Recovery on Water this past summer. Prior to that, I was a college rowing coach, and I did row in college and in high school. So that was really how I got involved in this organization. Here are some pictures of my office. It's a little bit messy, the one on the left, but this is a picture of my office, the chairs, and then this is our main office, and that's where my coworkers work, just to the left. This is a picture of our workout studio. So while you saw in the first picture, we row on the water, we also do indoor rowing. So in this picture on the left, you can see the indoor rowing machines. We do that year round. And then we also offer some yoga classes and some body weight classes and some stuff like that for the women as well. Right now, we're completely virtual. So all of our rowing machines are actually out at our members' houses, and they're currently doing virtual workouts via Zoom every day, which they love. And then this is our boathouse here on the left. So this is where we keep all of our rowing boats. And then on the right is the Chicago River and downtown Chicago. So that's a few miles from the boathouse, but we do row into what they call the loop. So as part of my job, I do a lot of different things. As you can see, my calendar is pretty busy throughout the week. But what I love about my job is that I get the opportunity to interact with a lot of different people. I'm in charge of making sure that we have enough money to do what we need to do. So a lot of my job has to do with fundraising and making sure that our donors know where their money is going and that they're excited about the programs that we're putting on. I also plan a lot of events. So we are doing all virtual events events right now, but once we're back in person, we hope to do a lot of events. And then I also oversee our programs. So making sure that the women on the team are getting the workouts that they need to get, making sure that everything on that side is running smoothly, and then also overseeing my staff of individuals. So I'm pretty busy, but I really do love what I do. You can actually see on Sunday the 31st, Zoom with Kara and Suze were two of my best friends from St. Catharines. We met when we were in first grade at SKS, and we are still very, very good friends to this day. So that's a little bit about what it is that I do. If anyone has any questions or wants to contact me or has any questions about rowing, it's something that I'm super passionate about and I think is really, really great to bring to women who have had breast cancer. And it's something that keeps them healthy, but it's also something that they love. And it's a really exciting and happy thing that they can have in their lives. So if anyone wants to reach out to me, I am happy to chat. Happy Catholic Schools Week, and I'll talk to everyone soon.